Start at the bottom. That's the advice, isn't it? The oldest career wisdom there is, handed down like a family recipe. Find an entry-level job, get your foot in the door, work your way up. Every generation before you got the same speech, and most of them actually got to follow it. The words themselves feel like a promise. Entry, level, the level at which you enter, and so you do what you're told. You open the listings marked entry-level, junior, associate, and there it is, sitting in the requirements like it's the most normal thing in the world. 3 to 5 years of experience. For the job that exists to give you experience. Everyone treats this like a joke. There are memes about it. Your parents think you're exaggerating. Recruiters shrug like it's weather. The whole world has quietly agreed to call it a quirk, an oversight, a glitch, a funny little contradiction in the system. Hold on to that framing. Because the framing is the first lie. You know what gets said about people your age? Entitled? Allergic to hard work. Nobody wants to pay their dues anymore. Everybody wants to start in the middle. But look at what's actually happening. You're not refusing to start at the bottom, you're standing at the bottom, knocking, and the bottom is telling you to come back once you're halfway up. You're not trying to skip the line. You're asking where the line begins, and nobody can point to it because it isn't there anymore. They call it the experience paradox, like it's a riddle waiting for a clever answer. But a paradox is an accident of logic, and this was not an accident. Because there used to be a deal. Nobody wrote it down, but everyone knew the terms. A company hired you for what you might become, not for what you already were. They took you in raw. The older workers showed you the ropes. Your mistakes were expected, and your first year was understood as an investment. Theirs, not yours. In exchange, you stayed. You gave them loyalty, years, your best work. That was the trade. They built you. You built them. Like your first job was never meant to be a reward for already having skills. It was the place skills came from. Companies weren't just employers. They were where workers got made. That deal is dead. And it didn't die of natural causes. It starts with a spreadsheet. Somewhere along the way, training stopped being an investment and became a cost, a line item, and line items exist to be cut. To be fair, there was a logic to it. Training is expensive. People don't stay for decades anymore. Spend a year building someone who leaves in 2, and you've just funded your competitor's next hire. No single company broke the deal out of cruelty. Each one broke it because, from where they sat, it had stopped paying. Let someone else do the training. We'll hire the finished product. A smart move for one company. Except every company made the same smart move at the same time. And when everyone decides to only hire people that someone else trained, no one is training anyone. The finished products stopped getting made. Then the filters arrived. When applying meant paper and postage, the stack of resumes was small enough for a human to read, small enough for someone to look at a promising nobody and take a chance. Now applying takes one click, hundreds of people apply to everything, and no human reads any of it. Software does. And software doesn't gamble on potential. It counts keywords, it counts years. A brilliant beginner and a blank page look identical to an algorithm. So requirements stopped describing the job and started doing crowd control. Demanding experience for an entry-level role was never a plan to find the right person. It's the cheapest way to shrink the pile, and this isn't a feeling. When researchers combed through thousands of listings labeled entry-level, more than a third demanded years of prior experience. In software, it was more than 60%. The door marked entrance, locked a third of the time everywhere, and locked most of the time in the very industries claiming they can't find talent. Here's the part that turns a broken system into something closer to a scam. The training never disappeared. Someone still has to turn beginners into professionals. That work is still being done every day. It just stopped being paid for by the people who profit from it. Now you pay. You pay with a degree that costs more every year and guarantees less. You pay with the unpaid internship, a full-time job with the salary deleted, available mostly to people whose families can afford to donate their labor. You pay with the boot camps, the certificates, the portfolio projects, the years of free work rebranded as building your personal brand. The bottom rung of the ladder wasn't removed, it was moved behind a counter and given a price tag. And this is where you finally see it whole. It isn't a paradox, it's a paywall. The timing makes it crueler. Because the same years that put a price on entry are now shrinking whatever entry is left. The simple tasks that once justified hiring a beginner, the research, the first drafts, the routine work you learned the job by doing, are exactly the tasks being automated first. So the toll keeps rising while the road behind the gate gets shorter. You're being asked to pay more than anyone before you, for less than anyone before you got. So here's where you actually stand. You did everything they said. The degree, the applications, the free work dressed up as opportunity, and you're still outside a door marked entrance that only opens for people who are already inside. You've been asking the question they handed you. How do I get experience if no one will give me experience? But that question keeps you running laps in a circle somebody else drew. The real question isn't how you get experience without experience. The real question is who was supposed to pay for it and how they got away with slipping you the bill. A paradox has no author. This one has beneficiaries. It was never a paradox. It was always a paywall, nay? And every year you spend blaming yourself is a year the bill stays yours. Experience doesn't come from nowhere. Every expert was once a beginner somebody took a chance on. Every senior engineer, every seasoned nurse, every manager with a decade behind her, and someone once hired them before they were worth it. A system that only hires experienced people is a system living off its savings, and it works right up until the day it doesn't. So pay the toll if you have to. Most people don't get a choice. But keep your eyes open while you do. Because if nobody will hire a beginner anymore, 10 years from now, where exactly do they think the experienced people are going to come from?